Hello everyone, Edge FPV back again. So today I'm decided to do a 3-inch build. So I've never done one of these before. They look kind of cool. Everybody's kind of getting into them. I think Tommy's even working on a new frame for one. So I thought I'd give the Hobby Wing another try. So I went ahead and got the Hobby Wing Nano combo. So it comes with the 20 amp ESC and your flight controller. And it's a 20mm by 20mm setting on it. So, and what I've done on this, that's why I'm not really pulling it apart, is I did get these 2mm rubber standoffs. I went ahead and went with the HGL, what are they, 1407 3600 kV motors. The frame that I'm actually doing is the XHover Win3L, and that just means that it's an L shape on the arm itself. So it's only got 3 bolt holes for the motors. They are very thick arms, so hopefully they won't break as much or as often. So I had to get some longer screws for it, and these are 6mm, and I think they come with 4mm. And then I got one 8mm on the outside arm here. So just for a little bit of protection, just barely misses the windings in it. So it should be good. I don't think I'll have any issues with it or anything, but it should be on there pretty strong. I am going to be using a Tramp HV on this one. I decided not to go with another card for that part of it. And I did go a little bit lighter for the, I went with the Micro Sparrow 2 from RunCam, and that's this little guy right here. So hopefully going to all purple. So I think it'll be a pretty good looking frame once it's done. Hobby Wing 1 does come with a small capacitor. I will be using this one. 470 microfarad, 25 volt. So I'll be running 3 and 4S on this unit. So it should be a pretty good setup. I think I got everything I need. It does come with the wire leads. They are kind of small. I don't know if I'll use those or not. I might just up them up to 12 gauge. I'm not sure what these are. I think they're like 14 gauge. It's got S port on it. It's got a buzzer port on it. It actually has on-screen display as well too, so there is an in and an out for video. So the camera does not have audio, so I will not be hooking up an audio setup on it. Again, on the flight controller, I did have to mount this a little bit funny. It does have the arrow here pointing forward, so this is going to be forward, and so I had to mount the ESCs upside down. So I'm going to basically cut the wires and then solder them on and then put it back down on the board. The reason why I did that is because the cable that actually comes with it for the connection is very short. So, you know, this is the best way that I could figure out how to do this. There is no pin configuration that goes in between it, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But basically you just got your, you know, your wire leads on each side, and then your positive and negative on this side here. So I figured this would be the best route, since the battery's going to be an underslung. I can come out with the wires here and go down underneath, and then these will all be soldered underneath. So I don't know if that makes any protection or not, honestly. So it'll just be a little bit tougher to work on. I'll have to take this off each time if I need to resolder any of these joints, but it should be pretty good. Okay, that's going to be the build for this one, and so I'll get all this set up. I'll go ahead and put the frame together on camera so you guys can see, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let me show you how this frame goes together. It's kind of neat because the regular Win3 actually doesn't have separate arms. It's a solid bottom base. So this is kind of nice, so I can actually go ahead and replace these arms if I happen to break them. With them being this thick, I really doubt that I'm going to break them. So let's go ahead and get this put together real quick. Countersunk nuts here are going to go on the top or up, whatever you want to call it. And one thing I'm going to do is to put on the stack first, because it's just a little bit easier to do it that way. And I think that's the direction I wanted to do it. So we'll go ahead and what I've done is these are the screws that come with it. On a small nut on the bottom of it there, just for spacing basically, because when I put it through here it's just a little bit long to go through the rubber standoffs. So we'll go ahead and put those on. The L part of it here, this section here is going to go on the inside. So if it's, I guess I could look at my props here. So this one is going to go on this side here, like that. So go ahead and get that started here. And the other thing is the X. It actually has a flat part on the bottom here, and I can't really see any good pictures of how to do that part of it, but I'm assuming that that's going to go towards the back. So we'll go ahead and put that towards the back. And there are a few different sizes of screws that come in the kit. I think this is a 8mm, and these are M3s. And then they also come with the shorter, I'm going to say this is 4mm, and that goes for the top. And then you got two longer ones, which I want to say are 8mm, and they go on to the front part for the standoff here, or sorry, for the back ones here that go through the standoffs on the back. So it's going to go into the bottom one here and here. So there's just two of these that are there. So it sticks up like that for the standoff. It does have the cross notch in the center here where the arms set so they don't move and rock back and forth. Two standoffs go on the back for the longer screws. Two more standoffs for the camera section of it here. Those of course go on the front. And that is going to be the two shorter screws. Oh, how I can show that. That is it for the bottom section of it, so kind of show that to you real quick here. So that's all that goes on the bottom part of it there. And as you can see, the L-shaped part of it is on the inside on all the arms. So there. So that should be how it's set up and how it works like that. So then the top plate can go on with the two holes on the back here. So those are going to go towards the back. And then you're going to have 4 more of the shorter screws. And just so you know, the camera mount, these gray camera mounts here, do actually come with the frame, so that's kind of nice. dropped one of my screws and I'm not going to pick it up right now. I just want you to see what this frame looks like real quick all together. So, and that is it on the frame. So pretty nice little fit. I'm going to try to show you the room that I have. So with these rubber standoffs, they're just a tiny bit shorter than the original hobby wings that come with it. So if you look here, I actually have quite a bit of room up on the top part there. So I have plenty of room for my HV tramp and for my receiver as well too. So I shouldn't be taking up too much room. You can slide this camera up and down for it not to hit the flight controller or whatever I'm going to put in between there. But you can see this plug does stick out quite a bit. So I'm a little concerned about that, but I should have plenty of room underneath there to get all that stuff stuck in there. And as you also notice too, the flight controller is centered back into the center of the frame itself, so that's a little bit different as well. I'm used to him being more a little bit forward from the standoffs, but yeah, this one sits back quite a ways. But pretty small little guy, about the size of my hand. So I'm excited to give it a shot. But I'll go ahead and get the motors wired up. I'll kind of show you how I'm going to route the wires. It's nothing special or anything. I'm probably just going to go directly to it and cut them to length the way that I need them and zip tie them here at the arm. So not a whole lot of difference from other builds, just a lot smaller little guy. Overall, I think it's going to be a good flying quad. I mean, it's lined up perfectly. It looks like a true X. It might be just a tiny bit of a stretch X, but everything looks pretty even, pretty well balanced. I mean, it's a pretty good quad. I'm excited to try it. So let's go ahead and get this started. I should be getting some 3D mounted pieces for the back and possibly even a GoPro mount for the top. So it'll be interesting to see how it flies with the GoPro, without the GoPro. I mean, it is a racing quad. You can actually get a canopy for these as well too. So they do sell them on XHover, and it looks pretty cool. It has the camera mount fit, and it's got kind of a fin across the top of it. The only reason I didn't really get it is because it's all gray. It's the exact same gray as what these mounts are here, and I'm trying to go for a full purple is what I'm trying to go for on this. So we'll give this a shot and see how it looks. I do have a skin being made for this too. It's going to be a hazard purple from Stick It Skins, and we'll get that on there as well too. So it'll be an exciting little quad. So let's get started. Alright, here it is all put together, finished up. I got the Stick It Skins cover for it. I think it turned out pretty good. It's the hazard sticker in purple instead of the yellowish orange. So he did that custom for me for this particular build. I think it turned out pretty good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart and show you where the connections are on this particular board one by one, and that way you can also see how easy it is to take it apart and fix it if you need to. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. Before I get too far into this, after you get the 4 screws off the top, you can pretty much get to everything else inside of it. A couple changes I made on the build portion of it. I did go ahead and go with these purple standoffs by Lumineer. They're 28mm standoffs, so I just wanted to give it more of a purple look to it, and I think it turned out pretty good that way. I did go with the 3D printed purple on the back. They didn't really have one that was just for the VTX antenna, so I got the other one and then just flipped them upside down so I could still have access to the back of the VTX if I needed it. And I did go with the Axe 2 antenna, right hand polarized. I also was unable to get the LEDs to work on this particular board. That's the only thing that it doesn't work on this one. The new one that came out, the new Nano, is supposed to have that problem fixed, but this particular one can't, so I put in some 12 volt LEDs, basically glued them on there, and they're connected directly to the battery itself, so I can run it on 3S or 4S and they still light up just fine. And it has the dip switches on here, so I can change the colors anytime I want to. The only bad part is I can't program it with Betaflight and give them different colors at different times and do the directions and all that stuff like that. So, but it works. I mean, that's what I wanted. I just wanted to have some lights on there for racing if I ever do race this, since it is a racing quad. The only other thing that I did change is with that sticking up on the bottom part here, it does stick up and over just a little bit, so I did have to put 2 battery pads on the bottom here instead of just one, which is fine. It still works just fine like that. Also on the receiver, I did put in a crossfire unit in there. Unfortunately, with if you use a FR Sky, it uses 2 different UARTs for SmartPort and S-Bus, so it leaves you out, so you can't actually hook up the VTX with a UART to run through the script. So I changed it over to a crossfire unit since I had one, so technically I could go long range with this, which is a kind of a good thing. It does get a flight time of about 4 minutes on it. And the only other thing I changed from the original part of the build, I did get some hardened screws instead for the motor mounts, instead of the silver ones that I had in there on the first part of the video. So those ones actually came unscrewed and came out on one of the flights, so it threw the motor. But so I got these hardened 2mm screws, and they seem to be holding up just fine. So, and that's about all the changes that I have in here. So we'll go ahead and get started on here. So once you get the 4 screws out of the top part kind of just lifts up like this, and what I do is I just disconnect the cable for the VTX like that and slide the 3D mounted antenna off like so, and then the top piece just comes right off like that. So I can set that off to the side and then get into the bigger portion of it here, which here is the Nano Crossfire, and it fits in there pretty good, just kind of sits across the top here. You would think that it would cause a little bit of gyro noise, but it actually doesn't. So I can actually kind of just lay it across the top there, and then it's not even touching the gyros at all. So I can just kind of move that off to the side so we can see that later. And then the only other thing that comes off here is the camera. So let's slide that up and off of the standoffs like so. Unplug that. And then we can set that off to the side as well. And now we can see inside of here exactly where I have all the cables and connections hooked up to. We got the 2 video connections, one coming from the VTX. Let's see, I guess that one is coming from the camera. So this far end one closest to the screw is going to be your video in, out from the camera, and this is going to be video out to the tramp. And then on the power connections, I spliced one into one side, so this is the camera side, this is the tramp side, and it is hooked into the VBAT pad there. So I'm getting direct power from the battery itself, and then without having to actually have it hooked up over on this side with the capacitor. Then the ground is the same way. It's grounded on both sides, here to here, and that would be that pad there. And that is it for the video side of it. That way you can get your on-screen display there, and that does actually work really well. And then over on to this side of it, we got this white cable here on the very beginning. That is to the tramp, and that's for my telemetry, so I can change channels through the radio. And then the second one here and the third one here are for UART1, which gives me the transmit and receive connections on that portion of it for the Crossfire. And then this is your S port here where you would hook that up. And then we got positive 5 volts and negative here for the Nano Crossfire as well too. And that's really all that is actually plugged into this board. And of course you got your other cable coming from the 4-in-1 ESCs here, but other than that, that is really all that's hooked up to the flight controller itself, nothing else. So I will go ahead and take that off so you can see exactly what's inside there. Okay, so once I got the 4 nuts off the top of here, now I can go ahead and just pull the flight controller off and undo this cable on the side here. If I can get to it. And like I said, that's everything on the flight controller side of it as far as that goes. So, and I can kind of set that off to the side, and at this point in time now you can see exactly how I mounted that Mortal T antenna. So I just kind of double zip tied it on the front here. Just swing it around here, show you a little bit better. So it's just double zip tied underneath on the bottom on both sides here, and it made it so it is not actually touching the arms. So it kind of looks like it's bowed just a little bit, but it's actually not. And then just kind of routed it up into here and kind of put just a small twist on the top of it there, so it kind of sits up on the top. So that seemed to work pretty good. I haven't had any problems. Of course, I haven't had any RSIs or anything like that. And that's all there is to that portion of it. Now, these are the wires to my LEDs. They kind of look kind of funny there just because they're coming up from the bottom here and then running over into the power over on the side. Now, one piece of advice on this, I did actually put this on the wrong side compared to what I actually wanted. So when I put this flight controller on, the USB is sitting right in front of that capacitor. So when it's like that, then I actually have to bend this down a little bit and then be able to get into the port. So I don't make that many changes, so I decided not to change it around. But if you were going to do what I did with the ESCs on the bottom, I would suggest that you just flip this so the capacitor and the battery are coming out of this side if you want it from the side. I think originally this was set up to come out of the back, but I wanted extra stuff on the back here, so this is the way I wanted to design it. So, and again, this ESC is actually upside down, so all the solder joints for the motors are underneath on the bottom of it here. If you also look on here, numbers on here, they're not in the correct order. This one is number 4 going to motor number 2, I believe. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's actually reversed. So I did actually have to do some motor remapping on this to get this flying correctly. But it wasn't much different than the way that I put the remix together. I screw together, these boards are so small and so thin that I actually had to put O-rings underneath the bottom here just to bring this up enough. So that gave it even just a little bit more support. So I think it looked kind of neat. It's kind of uniformed pretty well, and I'm not gonna bump it and knock any stuff off or anything like that. So, and it's pretty well protected. Like, it has gotten in a couple crashes, a couple of them at work on concrete, and it doesn't even come close to touching these wires or anything. So no problems that way whatsoever if you want to do it like that. But it's a great little board and great little flyer altogether. When I'm flying this thing, it feels like a 5-inch quad, not a 3-inch at all. Like, it's got plenty of power to do punch outs. It is a little less than a 5-inch, of course. When I'm coming down off of a dive and have to punch out, it's pretty much full throttle to punch out. But it maneuvers and flies just like a 5-inch. It's kind of nice because I go into smaller holes that I wouldn't expect to with a 5-inch. This is able to do it without a problem and still has the agility and the control to do it. But that's the full build. If you have any questions about it or any other way that I set this up, let me know. That's pretty much all there is to it. I do have some flight footage with a GoPro and without a GoPro, so you can see the power differences. It will handle and fly with a GoPro. It's just a lot heavier than without it, of course, so I fly it without it because I get so much more maneuverability out of it. Other than that, I would highly suggest this frame. I do plan on getting an Acrobrat as well too to give that a shot, but for a racing frame more than a freestyle frame, this is a fantastic frame. So I would highly recommend the Win3L if you're looking for a 3-inch racer. The Acrobrat is a fantastic model. It's definitely longer. I don't know if it's going to be any heavier of a build than this. I'll put this back together real quick and we'll weigh it out, and then I'll show you the flight footage. Alright, let's see how much it's going to weigh with the GoPro on it if you did decide to do that. So 330 grams without it. Yep, that's what I thought. 403 with it. So, you know, you could probably add on another probably 5 grams for the GoPro mount. The one that I ordered for it was the one I decided to put on my Rad X. So it does fit, it does work, it does fly with it on there. I'll show you it plugged in real quick. So some pretty bright little lights on the back there. And yeah, it's got pretty good response. The motors run pretty damn well. Haven't really had any problems with it at all. But you know, it sits pretty good too. Like, I can just lay it on the ground and it's very well balanced. Sits right in the middle. I can, you know, control it one way or the other if I need to. But yeah, pretty cool that I can run a little 3-inch on a 4S battery as well. Plenty of power, lots of fun. hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, that was with the GoPro and without a GoPro, so I'm sure you could tell the difference. And I just wanted to come back and tell you guys thank you so much for watching my videos, and you know, the replies that I've gotten. I hope I've helped a few people out as well too. That's what I'm here for. Like, if you need some help with a quad or having problems with one, you're more than welcome to send me an email, and I'll try to get you fixed up best I can. Also, I do build frames. If you're just getting into the hobby and you're looking to want to get one of these particular ones, if you want one built, I'll be more than happy to build, you know, have you order the parts, send them to me, I'll fix it up. I'll probably even make a video for you of me putting it together, so you know exactly what parts and what components are in it. And I'll be, you know, I'll set it up for you and send it back to you and see how you like it. So I want to encourage this hobby to get it going, because I mean, this has been a lifesaver for me. Like, I love flying these things. It's so much fun to just get out there and see what most people never get to see. So I'm hoping that this will encourage more people to do so. So if you like the video and you like what I've done here, please like and subscribe and share, and let others know where they can get help as well too. So I'm here for you guys. I'm here for the community. I'm just trying to do my best to do everything right for everybody else too. So thank you guys. Enjoy. Bye.